Well, hello everybody, and thanks for joining us today for our webinar. It looks like most of you guys are signed in. We might have a couple stragglers coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and jump right in because we've got a lot of information to go over. My name is Virginia Garamoni, and I'm one of the project assistants here at the National Office of Power2give, located in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm glad you guys have taken some time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We've got some really good information. So before we jump in, I just wanted to learn a little bit about who's on our call today. So I'm going to send you guys a couple quick polls just so I can get a sense of who is attending our webinar and where I should be focusing my energies. So let me just launch this first poll for you. You guys are so good. Looks like almost all of you guys have already voted, so I'm going to go ahead and close the first poll. And let's just look at these results. Really interesting. Okay. Let me start with my second poll here. So I'm just looking to see how many of you guys have posted projects. It looks like most of you are posting 1 to 2 projects. A few of you guys have 3 to 4 projects, but almost half of you guys haven't posted any, which is great. It's good to see a lot of new guys on this call so we can really get you guys up and ready to go. So let me close this poll. And I'll just share the results real quick with you guys so you can take a look. All right, and my last one is just a real quick one. So it looks like it's pretty split. Some of you guys are new staff and some of you guys have been around for a while. Let me just share those results. You can see we're in pretty good, kind of half and half, so we'll have a nice mix of people today on the call. Fantastic. All right. So just a little housekeeping today. We are in listen-only mode, which means that all of you guys are currently muted, so please feel free to use the question box in your control panel to type any questions you guys have along the way. Or afterwards, we'll have a little bit of time to talk about questions, or you can always send me an email at virginia.garamoni@artsandscience.org. I'm always around to help you guys out and answer any questions you guys might have about the Power2give process, posting projects, etc. We are recording today, so I'll be sending you a recording later on this week. I'll also be emailing you guys a copy of the slides, so feel free to share them with the slides or the recording with anyone you think will benefit from having this information on hand. So without further ado, let's get started. So when you guys registered for this webinar, you had the opportunity to let us know if you had any specific questions you wanted answered during this webinar. And here's a list of those questions. I won't read them all, but hopefully by the end of the webinar, all of these questions and a whole lot more will be answered. So the goal of this webinar today is to give you the basic knowledge and tools to successfully post and promote your Power2give projects. So looking at today's agenda, we're going to answer the following questions. The first is, what is Power2give? It's going to be and we're going to have a short introduction and background to the platform. Then we're going to look at how does it work, and we're going to have a quick site tour and give you some great tips on posting successful projects. And then finally, the big question is who will donate, and we're going to take a look at all the different ways you can reach your current donors and also find new donors. And then at any point during the webinar, again, you can type in questions and I'll do my best to answer them along the way. But again, I'll also be leaving some time after the webinar for any additional questions you guys might have. So here are the facts. Let me just give you a little background on why Power2give was created. A few years back, when the economy seemed to be in a steady decline and charitable giving was on its way down, and there was a lot of decrease in the annual campaigns. Our executive director at the time at the Arts and Science Council here in Charlotte, North Carolina, started working with multiple arts and council groups across the country to work on the problem of decreased giving. And we amassed some great data and found that 85% of most cultural consumers are not giving a personal donation to the organization. So yes, their cultural consumers are buying tickets and memberships and the like, but 85% are not giving an annual gift to the organization. And we thought to ourselves, this is a huge amount of people we're not reaching with their annual campaign, and how can we get a hold of these people? And then the other thing we were finding with our research is that about 50% of current donors would give even more to the organization if they had more information on how their funds were going to be used. And they also saw that the number of people giving online was continually increasing. So all of these things were really interesting. So back in 2011, we launched Power2give to give donors a place to have a more personal relationship with the recipient of their money and an immediate say in how their dollars were being spent. So what is Power2give? Well, Power2give is an online cultural marketplace. It's a place for nonprofit organizations to post projects that they would like to have funded, and a place that potential donors can see projects that are in need of funding, and then they can donate to the projects they are most passionate about. So Power2give is designed specifically for the cultural and nonprofit sector. And how the funds are going to be used are very transparent, and the site's also been designed to be very simple. So Power2give is both a marketing and a fundraising tool, which is something maybe a little new. See, what you do is you have a chance to let visitors learn more about your organization and then give them the opportunity to bring your projects to life by giving a donation. So what we think of Power2give is really a new donor conduit. It's a way to engage all of your patrons. Donors can give as little or as lot as they want to your project. And with a minimum donation of $1, they're not really limited by their economic background. So no matter what their budget, your patrons have the opportunity to financially support your efforts. And Power2give, of course, is a crowdfunding platform. And the power of crowdfunding really comes from getting lots of people donating smaller amounts and having those gifts add up to a big impact. And we find that crowdfunding is a great way to activate the donors you wouldn't normally attract in any other way. So the way it works is that individuals and matching donors donate through individual Power2give sites, which is set up by and hosted by a local arts umbrella organization. So for example, here in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Arts and Science Council looks after Power2give/Charlotte. And then local nonprofits in the area will create and post projects on their local site and will promote them to their network. And then donors will find out about the project and then give to the project and then become involved in promoting projects in their area. Let me just stop to make sure there's no other questions at this point. Okay, I think we're in good shape. So Power2give is continuously growing and expanding its reach, and you can see from our coverage map here that Power2give is currently active in 24 communities across the country, and we have more communities getting ready to launch next year. So stay tuned for that news. And then here's our results to date. So right now we've raised over $7.3 million on the platform. We've posted over 2,700 projects, processed more than 31,000 donations. We found that the average project posted is raising money for about $5,000, and that the average posting time on the site, so how long the project is actually active for, is 60 days. The average gift across the site is $130, and the gift we see most commonly on the site is $50. That kind of gives you an idea of what kind of donations we're seeing through the site. So I'm sure you guys know there are hundreds, if not thousands, of crowdfunding websites out there. So you might be asking yourself right now, how is Power2give different? Well, Power2give was built by nonprofits for nonprofits and is uniquely conscious of the needs of our posting organizations. So one of the things we do is focus on having a locally and regionally hosted site so that donors can easily see how projects can impact and engage with their own community. We also have a continually growing national support network among all of our different communities. So when you talk with your site host, they can, really tap into this huge network that's across the country, talking about tips and tricks, the best tools and information for you. That's a lot of what this webinar is going to do for you today too, and I'm going to give you a little bit more about that soon. The other thing that we find really exciting is that power2give supports matching funds. So this allows your donors' gifts to stretch even further. Now, I'm not going to go too far into the matching funds, but basically the hosting organization can bring funds for your projects to be matched, or as an individual organization, if you had someone that was looking to match just your projects on power2give, we're also able to add that to the system. So the other thing that you can do, which I am really excited about, is that you can use gift cards on the site. So we found that the gift card functionality is a really great way to spread the word about power2give, and it also gives people a way to share their love of philanthropic giving with others. So they're able to actually purchase gift cards on the site or receive them as a gift and use them to donate to projects. And of course, what I think, again, is one of the most important features on power2give is that whatever funds that you raise, you will get to keep, even if you don't reach your funding goal. Okay, so now for some nitty-gritty, some logistics. The eligibility is really up to the individual power2give sites, so it's best to contact your local site administrator, but generally it's open to 501c3 nonprofits that have also been grantees of the organization. But again, sometimes some people are a little bit more open, depending on what site you're going to be posting in. Our administration fee, there's an average of a 12% fee across the site, but sometimes that's a bit lower, depending on where you are, or a little higher. So again, you want to check with your site host for the details. But this administrative cost is going to cover all of the credit card fees, all the site maintenance, and paying for local marketing and admin costs. So that fee does cover a lot. And you may find that other crowdfunding sites seem to be a bit lower, but when you look into credit card fees and things like that, it actually is a pretty standard fee. And then for the funding timeline and process, basically you will receive your funds, the donor and matching funds, usually within 10 business days of your project closing. And a project will close either once it's raised the full amount of the funding needed or once the project expires. Let me just see if there's any more questions. Nope, you guys are good. All right, so a little bit more about logistics of the site. Your local host is going to be the charity of record for all power2give donations. So what this means is that the host is going to handle all tax-deductible correspondence with your project's donors, but practically, as well as the way you should really think about it, is that they are your donors. So that means you can cultivate them and contact them whenever you want. You have up to 90 days to get your project funded, and you receive the funding, again, regardless if you've reached that 100% of your goal or not. And then all the donor information is going to be available to you anytime. You receive an email in real time as donors give to your project on the site, and then you can also download a pledge report from your project page that will include all the donor details. And I'll show you how to activate that soon. So the system is really simple. All you have to do is get in, register, log in, and create your project. There's no deadline to how long it takes you to create or submit your project. You can do it anytime. When your project's complete, what you do is you submit the project, and then one of the host staff will review your project, and they generally give you feedback or approve the project within 3 business days. So sometimes the project will look beautiful, and they'll just come back and say, great, we're going to go ahead and approve you, and you'll go live at whatever date you choose. Or they may suggest perhaps a little bit of a tweaking to your narrative or your budget, or if they had any information they want to share with you about how to choose the best video or photo, they may help you with that as well. And then once the project goes live, the matching funds will be instantly applied. So as soon as your donors donate, you'll see those matching dollars. So when you're picking the right project for your organization, the thing you should really think about are what aspects of your organization excite you the most. It's also good to get the whole staff brainstorming about your project because it ensures staff buy-in for power2give projects and promotions. It just gets you a little bit more traction in your organization. And we find that projects with a beginning and end date are usually the best way to go. It needs to be something it's going to come up in the future. So say something in your next quarter or beyond, because the project's going to be up for 90 days. And of course, you're going to want the funding before the event actually begins. And that said, budget relieving activities are okay, but you have to really make them engaging somehow, and you really have to find a way to inspire donors to fund budget relieving. So it's not that you can't, but you just want to make sure it's something that's going to be attractive to your potential donors to want to give. You can also raise funds for things like programming, equipment, student scholarships. Really, you can talk with your site admin, but there's really not much limit to what you can raise funds for on the platform. The most important thing I think to remember is that you want to make projects something that is going to tell your story and support your mission, while also making it really compelling and impactful for your donors. So I'm sure you guys are dying to actually see this site. So I'm going to get out of our PowerPoint real quick, and I'm going to jump into the live site so we can have a little demo. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm with my friend's computer. So there we go. So here is power2give. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you what the site user will see as they're navigating the site. So as a user, I'm going to first check what location I'm in. So I'm going to choose Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I'm located. And then this will take you to the main project page, where you can get a chance to kind of peruse the different projects and see what you want to donate to. And just scrolling along, Fix Our Broken Wing is kind of catching my attention, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it to learn more. Gives me an opportunity to watch their video. I can look at their picture, then I can read their project narrative and learn a little bit more. It's really nice that they've broken down their budget so I can get an idea of exactly what they're funding for and where the money is going to go. I can also take a look at the donor benefits, and if I'm really excited about this, I'm going to say, I'm going to donate $5 to these guys. So I put in $5 and add it to my giving cart. I have a matching sponsor here, so I can see that for every dollar I donate, the matching sponsor is going to contribute 50 cents. So my $5 donation then becomes $7, which is pretty exciting. I also have an opportunity, if these recommendations give me an opportunity to look at other projects that the system thinks I might enjoy. But since I'm not going to donate to another project today, I'm going to go ahead and complete my donation. So I've got to put in my details, so you just have to bear with me as I enter this in. You guys can spend this time thinking about any questions you might have for me to answer later on. Okay. And then this will be the email where they'll get all of their thank you messages and things. Okay, and then I'm going to pay with a gift card. And I was conscious enough of our time to make sure I had that copied and pasted for us. And I can complete my donation. Then it will just ask me to just look it over, make sure that I like everything, that yes, I want to donate $5 to this project, and I can submit my gift. And then this is a nice option, is once they've actually paid, they have an opportunity to share this project with friends and family. So they have an option of either clicking on the email, where it will populate the project link. So if you shared this out, they would actually click on this link and go directly to this project and be asked to donate. You can also go in and change all of these details if you wanted to. And then similarly, you can share this project on Facebook. And this is how it populates. It'll have the image, but you can also upload the image. And then you can type in exactly what you want to say about the project itself. Maybe talk about why you think it's important or why you're excited about being able to fund. And then again, you can share that link with all of your friends. And it's similar with Twitter. It's the same kind of hashtag with a link. So we do try to use the potential for social media and sharing on the site. It's actually built in directly. So let me just go back and make sure nobody has any other questions. Okay, you guys are good. No questions means I'm doing my job. Or hopefully you guys aren't asleep. Okay, and now the part that's probably the most relevant to you guys is how do you actually post a project as a user? So what you do is you log into your site. So if you are posting a project in Charlotte, you'd be on this page. You're going to scroll down, and this button here is the Create and Manage Projects. So you click on there, and you've got two options. If you've already registered before, you would just add in your email address and password as you have before. If you're a first-time user, you have an opportunity to find out if your organization is eligible. So if you click on that link, it will take you to the frequently asked questions about who is eligible. So here in Charlotte, North Carolina, you have to be a 501c3, located in Mecklenburg County, and had to have received funding from the Arts and Science Council within the last 10 years. And since I've already registered, I'm going to go ahead and put in my email address. And if you were registering for the first time, it would just be a simple form. Let me just show you real quick. That just gives you a chance to add all of your new contact details, your site. You may or may not need a solicitation license to use the site. And if you have any questions about that, you can contact your site administrator. But it's pretty straightforward. And then also, if you're a new organization, you're going to select Add New Company and then put in your new organization details. But if you know that your organization has posted projects in the past, it should be on this drop-down list, and you just have to find which organization you're going to be designing a project for. So let's go in and just see. As a user, we'll use my login so you can see what my dashboard looks like. Okay, so when you log into the site, you're going to have your dashboard here. So you'll see here you're going to see what kind of matching funds are available on the site. So right now we have about $700 left on a STEM match. So anything that was science, technology, engineering, or math is eligible for a 50-cent on a dollar match. We also see that one of our organizations has an internal match. So I'm not eligible for that, but if I was posting to a BPA, they would be able to have those matching dollars. The other nice thing is that this is going to be your permanent URL for all of your active projects. So you really want to use this when you're promoting projects, maybe via email, or if you want to send a link to someone to have them look at your projects. This is the URL you want to use and share, where they would go directly to your project page. And then if you scroll up to the top, you'll see all the different dashboard items. You have an option to create a new project. If you have any donor reports, that's where you would click there. Managing account is just going to give you an opportunity to update any of your personal details. Changing passwords pretty straightforward, same thing with logging off. So when you want to go ahead and create a new project, you're going to click on this link. And this is the form that you're going to be filling out to design your project. It's really straightforward. So for example, if the first thing you want is to create a project title. So let's say we'll call it Help Us Fly. And we're going to donate $1,000. We're going to try and raise $1,000. I want it to go live in 2 weeks on the 15th. And the nice thing is the system will auto-populate the site or the project to go live for 3 months, 90 days. But this is completely editable. So if you wanted to have a shorter campaign, you can change that to whatever date you want. And these posting and start date and end dates are editable, so you can always change your mind, delay, or push your project forward if needed. Then the project start date is really just for your own records. It's going to just give the site admin an opportunity to see when you're planning for this project to go live in the real world. So after you've gotten your funds, when you're expecting the project to actually go into effect. So this date should be after your closing date. So I'm going to have it be April 30th. And we'll say it runs for a couple weeks. Then you get a chance to talk about what kind of project you are going to be funding for. So let's say it's history, science, and technology. And this will be a place where the donors on the front side would be able to search for your project, or if they were coming in and just wanted to see, say, what kind of projects were related to history, they can then filter out the projects and just look at history projects or science, etc. Then it's going to ask you to upload a video or a photo. So here you would just choose the photo that you want. And you want to make sure that the images is going to be under 1 megabyte. And also that it's going to be no bigger than 250 pixels by 250 wide in height. And we find that photos that are square format actually work best on the system. And then with your YouTube video, you would just create a video, upload it to YouTube, and then once you have uploaded it, you would see your YouTube video on the screen. You want to right-click to get the video URL. And you just go and copy that in. And you can go back here and paste. Let me choose my image too. Okay. And then this is where you would create your narrative. We won't be doing that today, but we'll just write fund my project. And this is where you would be able to put in your donor benefits. And this project notes place is a place where only the person who's reviewing your project will be able to read it. So this is where you can say, really looking forward to the project, just not sure about my image, what do you think? Or if you are working on a video and haven't had a chance to upload it yet, you can say, video's on the way, I'll let you know when it's ready to go. And then you have a choice of either saving or submitting this project. So if you wanted to save and edit it later, you could just save the project, and then you'd see it populating here in your projects that have not yet been submitted. And if you click on it, you're going to get a preview of what it's going to look like to the donor. I find this really helpful just so I can get an idea of if it looks like my text is a little heavy, or if maybe my budget could be a little clearer. This is where I would kind of take a look and just decide what kind of changes I want to make. And if I want to make changes, obviously, you're just going to hit the little yellow edit this project button, which will take you back to this page here. If you're ready to submit your project, all you need to do is click here and read through the terms and conditions. And if you're happy with that, you hit accept, and then you can submit this project for review. And once you do that, an email will go out to your site host reviewer, and they generally get back to you in about 3 business days, and will either say, looks great, we're going to go ahead and approve it, or they may come back and say, I'd like you to make a few changes just to make it stronger and have a better chance at success. So that is pretty much the whole project, or the whole project page and posting. It's, like I said, real simple. One of the things you'll notice is there'll be a lot of these little eye icons. And if you click on these, it's just going to give you a little bit more information about that section. So it'll just talk a little bit more about the permanent link and what that is. In the project page, it's going to tell you great tips on like how to structure a title, how to write a great pitch. Probably more information than you'd ever think possible will be kind of hidden in these little icons. So I hope you guys will have a chance to explore those. Let me just see if I've got any other questions right now. Looks like we're good. So let's jump back in. If you guys don't have anything else for the live demo, I'm I'm going to go ahead and get back into our slideshow so we can take another look at these tips. All right. So just to go back through some of the kind of really important things to remember, these are the project dashboard elements. Again, pretty simple stuff. But if you have any questions, you can always send me an email, let me know. But the other thing to think about is, I may not have shown you this, but in projects, you can also see what projects are active and which projects are closed. And this is a nice place for you to kind of look at the other projects that are posted on the site and maybe see what's been really successful, what you like, what you don't like. It also gives you a chance to maybe steal some ideas, because if you see that a project has done really well and maybe there's multiple kinds of that project, you may know that it's something that's working really well on the system. So again, it's always good to kind of research and just see what kind of things are on the site already. So let's jump into the meat of this presentation. The biggest part about crowdfunding is telling your story. And as you can see when we looked at the project page, your title, your photo, and the optional video are really the most important elements, because they're going to be your first impression of how your project is perceived when they first, follow that link to the page. And you're basically competing with any other project on power2give, so you want to try and make your photo and title as unique and fun as possible. Really, what I usually do is just put yourself in your donor's shoes and ask yourself if your photo and title grab your attention. And then also, one of the things to keep in mind is we found that many people invest in crowdfunding ventures with their hearts and their emotions. So if you can, elicit an emotional response in someone, it's going to make all the difference. And so when you're telling your story for crowdfunding, you really want to keep it simple. Keep it short. If you can make someone laugh or give them a feeling that it's a really sweet thing, we find that that's really successful. Brevity is really your friend here. You want to keep your narrative under 300 words. We find that if you use first person, it's a little bit easier on the donors. And again, if you can use humor, if you make people laugh, we find that's a really great strategy for creating your projects. And then you need to really remember your audience. Crowdfunding is new, and writing for crowdfunding kind of takes a new kind of skill set. Remember, you're writing for individual donors, not a corporate or foundation board. So please, please, please do not try to copy narratives of grant applications. You'd be surprised at how many I kind of see in my line of work. And I can guarantee you that this kind of writing style is going to absolutely bore your audience, and they're not going to be inspired to give. So the other thing to think about is don't fall victim to the curse of knowledge. Just keep it really simple. Tell people who you are, what you need the money for, and ask them to contribute. Think about how you would talk about the project in an elevator, or say if you were trying to talk about the project to a neighbor over the fence. Just keep it really casual and conversational. And then the other thing is, if you shoot a simple 30 to 60 second video, it will really help tell your story. We found that projects on power2give with videos are much more successful on power2give and generally raise funds a lot more easily. And don't let the video scare you. You don't have to spend a lot of money on your video. Something as simple as having the curator talk about the project and why it's important has really been great. We found that people also love videos of children talking about the project and why they would love to have you donate. I'm sure a lot of you fundraisers know that, people love to help kids. People love to give money to support children and youth. And these videos are really easy to use. Most smartphones have a video functionality, and a lot of them even have a way to quickly post to YouTube through an app. But really, it's real simple, and there's some great tutorials online. I won't bore you guys going on and on about videos, but there are a lot of great resources online to shoot simple videos. And really, if you just, put your phone up, hit record, and have them talk for 30 seconds, a minute about the project and hit end, that's a perfectly fine video to have. Okay, so here are some of the key ingredients when telling your story. The first thing to think about is, what do you think about when you're making a gift to an organization outside of your own? Usually the things you're thinking to yourself are, so what do they need? How are they going to utilize my money? And how is it going to make a difference to their organization? One of the things that we've learned regarding narratives is that you don't want to bury your lead. Say what you need to raise money for in the first couple sentences. Research has shown that if you don't capture your audience's attention in the first 10 seconds, yes, the first 10 seconds, you've already lost them. So definitely don't bury your lead. Be transparent as well. Show your budget. This doesn't have to be a really long, detailed thing, 5 or 6 lines of just breaking down the cost. So it's really easy for people to understand what exactly you're raising money for and why the total is what it is. And we find that donors just love to have a really clear picture of how their money is being used and how it's making a difference. But, most importantly, just have fun. If you enjoy reading your narrative, your donors are going to as well. Let me just check on my questions. I've got a couple here. So someone was asking earlier, I missed this one while we were doing the site demo, but someone was asking about on the site who was filling out the project testimonials. Let me just jump in real quick and show that to you guys, because it's actually a nice feature of the system. So when you go onto the project page, there is a place for you to put in project testimonials. So this can be anyone. This could be your executive director wanting to say a little bit more about the project. If you have a donor or a board member who's really excited about the project, this would be the place where they would put in their comments. So, just to backtrack, you're going to be writing your project narrative and your donor benefits, but anyone can write a project testimonial. And it's really simple. All you need to do is, if there were comments here, you would read them here. But if you want to leave a comment about the project, that's all you need is name, address, and then just say, hey, this is a great project, or my daughter was involved in this camp last year and really enjoyed it. Best of luck. That's where the project testimonials come in. So let me see. There was another question. Someone else is asking, Mark is asking, can the project name or number be changed to something a little easier than numbers and forward slashes like the project name? We can't change the URL internally, but there's nothing to prohibit you from, say, writing something, like in Word, instead of having it be a hyperlink like this with all the slashes and numbers, you can just say, donate to our project. And then you can actually, copy and paste, or, put this as in a hyperlink and bury it underneath. Hopefully that answers your question for that. But don't want to have any spoiler alerts, but we are having a big revamp of the site going live in June. So there'll be a lot of new features. I'll just leave it at that, but it'll be a really beautiful, robust system. Not that it's not already, but it'll be a bit more beautiful. So let's just look at 2 projects. We're going to look at one that's, kind of okay, and then something that's a bit more compelling, just to give you an idea of what makes a good project, what makes a bad project. So this first project is kind of just okay. First off, you'll see it right off, the photo is pretty terrible. In this format, it's just way too small. You can't really tell what's going on. There's really no story to be told through this image. It just looks like a bunch of little tiny dots. So obviously not the best choice. The other thing is that they don't have a video, which isn't the worst thing, but again, we find that people do the first 3 things is they look at the photo, they read your title, and then they play your video. So those are kind of the first instincts of your potential donors. The next thing is we won't read this whole narrative, but I can just let you know that the title is a little generic. It's not really too exciting. The narrative's really lengthy. It's these huge blocks of text with no break. And if you read the whole thing, they bury their ask at the very end of their final paragraph. So you don't really know what they're funding or needing money for until the very end if you read all the way through. And again, like I said, we're finding that people now with so much information coming at them that people really don't have an attention span. And if you don't catch them in the first 10 seconds, they're on to the next thing. Now, this is one of the projects that I find really successful and really engaging. This is kind of what you want to strive for. So the first thing you notice is that the project photo really grabs your attention. It's funny. It's a little ambiguous, so it makes you kind of want to click and learn more. The title, Young Voices Loud and Clear, it gives you an idea that there must be something about voice or singing or children. So again, it gives you an idea of the site, the project, but it kind of entices you to click on it and learn a little bit more. And that's really when you're going to be doing well with your title. If it's either funny or it just piques someone's interest and they want to learn more. So the other thing is, and I won't do this, but if you look at their video, it's really succinct. It's talking about what their project is, why they're raising money. It uses a lot of humor. And the other nice thing is that the narrative is really short and specific. It's broken into easy to read paragraphs. And most importantly, within the first few lines of the narrative, you already know what they're trying to raise money for and why it's important to contribute. So let's just dig a little deeper into how to write your narrative. A tool I found to be really successful when writing for crowdfunding is the 5-step approach to writing a perfect pitch. And the 5 steps are context, issue, solution, and impact, and ask. So let's just show you kind of this 5 steps in action. So number 1, you want to set up your context. So in this case, they wrote, of the Community School of the Arts, 402 private music lessons, more than 100 received needs-based financial aid. Financial aid offsets up to 90% of tuition costs. Okay, so what's the issue? Number 2, but we had more than 300 applications from eligible families. And then number 3 is the solution. Through the financial aid program, we can make the benefit of arts education, improved self-esteem, better grades and test scores, innovation, and transferable lifelong learning skills available to all children, regardless of their family's finances. And then number 4 is the impact. With full funding, the school can provide 120 weekly 30-minute music lessons for children whose parents could not otherwise afford high-quality music instruction at a cost of just $25 a week. And then here comes the ask. $500 covers the tuition of one student for a full semester, or $100 covers them for 4 weeks of lessons, or you can sponsor one student for $25 and cover the cost of one student for one weekly lesson. And so you can see how just breaking it down into these 5 steps creates a really simple, concise narrative that lets the donor learn exactly what the issue is and how their contribution can help solve the problem. And then another thing to think about is how can you entice your donors to give more? And that's kind of where our project benefits come in. It's a way to move your donors to the next level of giving. They're also a really great way to start building a relationship with your donors. And we all know that building relationships is essential to cultivating long-term supporters. We found that statistically over 40% of our donors on Power2give are donating for the first time to that posting organization. Now, this is a huge number of potential donors to cultivate and become long-term supporters of your organization. And creating memorable donor benefits can be a lot of fun and can give you a chance to think outside the box and be creative. So some things to keep in mind is Power2give does pride itself on ensuring that every donation made through the system is 100% tax deductible. And to guarantee that each donation on Power2give is tax deductible, that means we can't offer any donor benefits with a cash value, because it would obviously impact the tax deductibility of the gift. So that means that you can't have donor benefits that include cash value items like tickets to performance, memberships, admissions. You can't sell books or CDs. But don't think of this as a bad thing. It just gives you a chance to think a little bit further outside the box. We find that some of the best donor benefits will thank and recognize and engage your donors. So for example, you can thank your donors on social media or post their names on your website. You can send handwritten thank you notes from your project participants. You can invite donors over a certain amount to meet the curator over a cup of coffee. You could even invite your donors to a special behind-the-scenes experience. And we found that if you can tie the benefits into the project needs, it also helps move donors to the next giving level. So, for example, for $50, you can cover the cost of art supplies for one class of children and receive a handwritten note for one of the children. So it gives you a chance to see where your money is going and also what kind of benefits you would get. So how will donors come? This is probably one of the most important questions, isn't it? So just to let you know, the host organization promotes the Power to Give brand. So for example, here in the Arts and Science Council in North Carolina, we promote Power to Give Charlotte. So we have a link on our homepage. We also send out email messages talking about the platform. We occasionally will post information on our Facebook and Twitter feeds just to talk about the site and to check out the different projects we have available. We make an active effort to cultivate PR and media attention to the platform. The other thing that the host will do is become your technical support and also help you with any kind of project design you might have. But something very important to note is that host organizations are not responsible for promoting individual projects. So you have to think to yourself that post it and they will come is not a good strategy. You have to promote your project in your own community. So you want to use that permanent URL we were talking about earlier in all of your communications. I actually have ours in my signature byline whenever I send out an email. Use your social media to promote your projects. Invite your followers to participate by spreading the word on their own social networks. It's always a good idea to send different messages for different audience segments. And the other thing is to really get involved with your marketing department if you have one, and try and incorporate Power to Give into your existing marketing plans. So just remember, as an organization, you must promote your project. And if you don't, you are pretty much guaranteed for it not to be very successful. There are way too many crowdfunding projects out there to assume that donors are going to find your project all on their own. You really need to help let people know that you've got something going on, that you've got a project that you need funding for. If they don't hear about it, it's really unlikely they'll know about it. And again, just use the viral nature of social media to spread the word about your project. You can always enlist your initial donors to help spread the word on their own Facebook or Twitter pages. It's just about getting the right amount of people to focus on your project and get the ball rolling and spread the word. So let's talk a little bit about what those donor prospect pools are. So first off, you're going to have your primary networks, and this isn't rocket science. These individuals can easily get you to at least 30% of your funding or even beyond. These are going to be your active supporters. So they're your attendees, your ticket buyers, your current donors. We also like to focus on past donors, or what we call LIBUNs, which is an acronym for donors that gave last year but not this year, so LIBUNs. Look to your board members, your volunteers, your staff to give to the project or even help spread the word, or do both. If you've had people donating to previous Power to Give projects, you can always reach out to them again and either invite them to donate or, give them an opportunity to spread the word on their own social networks. The other thing is think about identifying affinity groups for your project. So for example, if your project is based around education, you can contact, say, teachers or the parents to become donors. And then you've got your secondary networks. And now these are where kind of that 40% of new donors to the organizations come in. This is where we're finding a lot of those new donors posting to the organizations for the first time. So these guys are usually the ones that are going to take you from 30% funding to 100% funding. And they're going to be your friends and friends of your primary networks. So you reach these individuals by asking your board members. You can ask them to share the project with, say, 20 people. You can get your prior Power to Give donors to spread the word. Also get your supporters to post your project URL on their Facebook. Get them to talk about it on their Twitter feeds. You can also use your own Facebook page to post your project and talk about the funding that you're looking for. There's so many other options. Young professional groups, if you have giving circles. Really, the resources here are nearly limitless, So it's just about getting creative and motivated to reach, this really large pool of potential donors. I realize we're kind of running out of time, guys, so I'm going to kind of move through these a little fast. So I want to make sure you guys get back to your day as we thought we would. So some quick lessons we've learned, crowdfunding now for quite a few years, is that successful crowdfunding is all about storytelling. And going back, if you use ambassadors to help spread the word, it makes a huge difference. Expecting one team member to kind of carry this large campaign is a bit hard. We find that if you have a team of at least one other person that's helping get behind this project and spreading the word, it makes all the difference. We find that if you have a few gifts lined up before the launch of your project, you can raise that 30% of your funding really quickly. And we find that if you get past that 30% funded mark, you're really, you're greatly increasing your chances of reaching full funding. We've got this statistic that says if you've reached 30% of your funding goal, you are more than 90% likely to reach your full funding goal, which is pretty great. So all you really need to do is get to that hump of 30. The other thing is have a steady drip of promotion over 90 days. Just make sure that your project is staying fresh of mind, but you're not overwhelming people with asking, because donor fatigue is real. The other thing to think about is promoting your project's impact first to grab your donor's interest. Vary your communication, and just make sure to segment your list when you're varying your messages. And again, being transparent is really helpful. So some tools for success. One of the big things I would suggest is to download our power2give marketing toolkit. It's got tons of support materials to assist you. And I'm going to go ahead and send you guys a link later this week with the recording and the copy of the slides. So you can go ahead and download that for yourself. It's going to have tons of useful items like email drafts, one-page pagers on how to steward and thank your donors. It'll give you sample social media copy. It'll also just give you a way to look at some of the different ways to market and maybe send out newsletters. So again, a really great resource. The other thing I'd suggest you guys looking at is our YouTube channel. So if you just search for Power2give ASC in YouTube, you're going to find all of our training videos and workshop sessions similar to these. Excuse me. So real quick, after you have your donors, you want to start the thank you process. And a lot of it's already automatically built into the system. So once you donate to a project, you're going to immediately receive a thank you email and confirming your gift. Then the host is going to send out all the tax acknowledgement letters. So that's something you're not going to have to worry about. And then you as a project poster are going to receive notifications that a gift has been made, all in real time. And you also have an opportunity to check your donor database in your project dashboard at any time, which again will give you all of the full details of all of your donors. And then of course you want to follow up with your donors. I think it's kind of said that you should engage your donor 4 to 6 times before being asked for more money. And the nice thing is that Power2give kind of builds in 3 opportunities to reach out to your donor. So the first time is when they give, you can send them a thank you. The next is when the project is fully funded. And then once the project has actually come about in the real world, you can have a chance to give it, send them an email and just say how great the project was, share the impact and thank them again for, their contribution making this possible. And, just remember, these are your donors. I mean, you're actually building your donor base for your organization. So you've got their information, so be sure to use it. Be sure you're incorporating them in your donor databases. And, if you have other giving opportunities, think of them and invite them along. You want to make them part of your family and, make them part of your annual fund drive. So in summary, Power2give is a partnership. Your host site is the one that provides the infrastructure and the support. The cultural organizations provide the projects and promote them to their audience. And then donors are the ones that are going to, support the project they're drawn to, and they're going to share with others. So Power2give is basically here to provide an easy online giving experience for the growing number of people who are really preferring the convenience of giving their gifts online. And again, we build in so much social media sharing and email sharing into the system that it gives donors that have been passionate and want to give, gives them an easy way to share the projects with others in their social circles, which of course is going to increase your reach and open up that secondary network to really build that donor base. So we're just a few minutes before 3 o'clock, so we didn't make our hour deadline, but I'm going to stay around for a little while and answer any questions you guys might have that we didn't have a chance to go over. I just want to thank you guys again so much for joining us. I hope you found it really useful. And on this slide is my email, so just feel free to reach out to me anytime. And also the ASC support page, if you want to follow that link. I'm afraid it's not clickable in this system, but if you copy and paste that or write it down, it'll give you some more kind of helpful tips that we have for our posting organizations here, which you might find helpful. So again, thanks so much. I will stick around for questions, but for those of you without questions, thanks again for attending and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. So let's see. So one of the questions that's come through is William is wondering, how do you print out the donor list? So let me show you real quick. I don't actually think I have a donor list in my projects, but we'll just double check. So in my dashboard, so I'm already logged in. If I go to my dashboard and I select one of my projects, there'll be this section here that has reports. And when you click reports, it's going to show you all the different projects you've had in the past. And then it gives you a chance to download your donor report. And we'll go ahead and try to download one, but I think they'll be blank because none of these have been live projects. But basically, it's just going to open up an Excel spreadsheet for you. Let's just see what it does. Nope, sorry guys, no information. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to give you the project number, your project organization, all your project category details. But the most important stuff is at the very end. It's going to say all your donor contact details, how much they donated, how they donated, was it a credit card or a gift card, etc. So that's how you find your donor details. Let's see if there's any other questions. It looks good. It looks like you guys have enjoyed and you're all just saying thank you and just wanting to make sure that you get copies of the slides. So I'll stick around a little bit in case somebody else might have a question. I know we're getting close to 3 o'clock and you guys are probably busy with the rest of your afternoon. Let's see. No, I think you guys are good. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye and thank you so much. And again, reach out anytime if you have any questions and have a great day.